Welcome to Shanghai in China as we get ready for the delayed qualifying sessions for rounds 19 and 20 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Martin Haven, James Nash in the commentary booth, and down in the pit lane, Alex Le Gui will be catching up with our drivers as we get ready for a Sunday morning qualifying. Well, we've had qualifying delayed for various different reasons before, but we've never had Sunday morning qualifying, so a bit of a different feel for the drivers, and that's not always a good thing, is it?
No, a bit of extra pressure, and they're going all the way into the weekend with a race straight after this, and most of them went into free practice 2 with better tyres, developing on for qualifying, and they've had all night now to go and think about it. Could be good for some of them, but normally you like to get in the car and get straight out into those new tyres, so fresh start for them all.
You like to have your routine ready, don't you? The other thing, of course, is the temperature is gradually building up through free practice 1 and 2 to qualifying, and now we're back in the considerably cooler track temperatures in the teens rather than the high 20s than was expected, or maybe even into the 30s was expected for qualifying. So the setup that was working yesterday afternoon probably isn't working so well this morning. So, you know, guy here like Marching Noir was fastest in every session so far. Is that going to have a big effect? And the cars that we saw coming to the top, maybe some of them won't look quite as quick in qualifying.
Yeah, it's a good point. As you go through the day, you develop the car through the course of the session. You sort of can then predict where the car should be for the next one, i.e. qualifying. But now that they're starting at the beginning of the day, they've got a blank piece of paper. It's the same for everybody, but some will find it harder than others.
And some cars will respond better to the different temperature. They'll move more away from where they were, or they'll move less away from where they were. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just how that dynamic works out. Jose Maria Lopez, of course, our championship leader, extending his advantage almost by the week over Ivan Muller, and Sebastian Loeb in third place. Got a minute and 3/4 to go before the track goes green for the first of our 3 qualifying sessions. In the first session, everybody goes out chasing times, and then the fastest 12 from Q1 go through into Q2, and the fastest 5 then go through into a single car Q3 shootout. And there are various antediluvian and rather Byzantine ways of working out the race 1 and race 2 grid, which we'll get to. But basically, you either want to be fastest of all or 10th, because 10th in Q2 will give you pole for race 2, and fastest of all will give you pole for race 1. So you kind of hedge your bets based on where you think you're more likely to end up, and gamble accordingly. Looking at the man there who won our last race in Motegi in Japan, another of Honda's racetracks. Thiago Monteiro very, very pleased to have won, and very, very pleased to have won there for Honda. A big Honda museum of motorsport at Motegi at the Twin Ring circuit, which was built by Honda as a part of its involvement in IndyCar, Champ Car in fact initially, and then IndyCar, and of course Honda with the Formula 1 Grand Prix at Suzuka in Japan, the other Honda built and owned circuit. So a busy weekend for them, or busy couple of weekends for them in Japan in terms of major international motorsport coming to their door. So then it's a hazy but clear morning. Clear as in it's not going to rain, not clear as in you can see for miles and miles. Guess it wouldn't be Shanghai if you could.
Should be a fairly interesting one. We saw yesterday quite a mixed grid, didn't we, with Chevrolet right at the top with Tom Chilton, and Citroën barely a long way down with Ivan.
Yes.
So it'll be, hopefully we'll have the same sort of thing. It might make a great race one.
Yes, it might well indeed. And
Rob Huff was consistently P7, P8, yep. I think.
Right around there. We had pretty much the top 8 cars covered by a second. So we'll have to wait and see. Chinquan Ma, though, was definitely not quite head and shoulders above everybody else, but he was just that bit clear of everybody else, between 3 and 5 tenths in any of the sessions.
So there's going to be some mind games going on here, I think. Lopez is leading the pack out, but you've got the other 3 Citroën sitting behind him.
Well,
is he going to go super slow?
Late,
get them to go past.
Lopez is always the first car in the queue, so he's always the first one out. Muller's next to him. Ma's gone with them. Mehdi Banani is going with them as well, so he's going to try and hang on. Here we've got the two Royal Motorsport Toms right in front of us, avoiding having contact with each other, which is always a good thing. With the Socking Great straight, the back straight here, it's going to be interesting, like you said, to see the mind games, whether Citroën are playing, jockeying for position, slipstreaming games or not. Tarquini came out just in front of Montero. Habitually, Gabrielli goes straight back into the pits at the beginning of qualifying. I don't know whether I don't know whether that's, you know, a practice swing for a golfer or something. It's just a thing he likes to do, just to confirm everything's the way it should be, but he pretty much always does it. Unfortunately, that rather cost him last time out when we were in Japan. Zoltan Zengo in the white shirt, also the Zengo Motorsport team running Norbert Mikulich. And there's the laptop armada at Citroën, monitoring everything in real time. It does rather look as though the Hondas have decided they're going to go with Lopez and get a toe off him.
Yep.
Which is always a bit cheeky. When you were racing in the championship, you had Tom Chilton as your team and then Alex McDowell, and you know you then have the option to sort of play that two-car game at Bamboo. I mean, obviously Honda can play the two-car game, but following the fastest man in the fastest car is always a good way to get a good toe, isn't it?
It does help if you can keep up with him. He might be that quick that they might not see him by the time they get to the back straight, but it does help to follow break points and lines and things like that. Yeah, sometimes it can be off-putting as well. You never know, you might have a slide and affect their lap as well, which is quite a risky strategy, being 5-6 cars back. So I think that's why the two Hondas wanted to get in position 2 and 3.
Yeah. Tell you what, Lopez is pushing very hard right from the outset. The car is really moving around. Watching his hands as well, you can see when he's having to correct a little bit of an oversteer slide. And again, cars that were ready for the hot temperatures, you'd think perhaps should be sliding a little bit less on the slightly cooler track. We certainly saw yesterday Ivan Muller's car moving around an awful lot, which is not necessarily something Ivan is averse to, but it just does seem to be his car moves around much more than Lopez, and certainly much more than Ma. Ma looked really quite well planted.
Gabrielli was slightly up in sector 1 on Lopez.
Well, he's pulled away from Tiago and he's been hoovered up behind Lopez now down the straight, isn't he?
He'll be enjoying that.
Yeah. And not so close that it's going to affect him under braking.
No, might mean he only gets sort of 1 lap in for that, though, depending on what
that
Lopez
might hopefully
does.
be enough to guarantee that he goes through from Q1 into Q2.
Did I just see he just went into the pits?
Did he?
I think both of them did.
You're right, they both did. Now that's very interesting because, as you say, Tarquini was not far off. Laps, including going into the pits, aren't really going to count for a qualifying lap. Although he was briefly 3rd fastest, Gabrielli. Briefly 2nd fastest. So Chilton 2nd, Lapierre 3rd in his Lada, Coronel 4th, Mikulich 5th. Should we call that a grid? Let's go with that. Katzberg fastest from Chilton, Lapierre, Coronel, Mikulich, Daste, de Moustier, and then Lopez, Ma, Huff, Muller. I'm not sure Rob Huff would be best pleased, but that would be a very entertaining race 1 grid. But that has all the hallmarks, potentially, of being a race 2 grid. Katzberg, Chilton, Lapierre, Coronel, that could be very entertaining as a top 4 in a race 2 grid.
So do we think that maybe some of them went out on scrub tyres to start with, just to have
just to feel what the track was like? Yeah, because they haven't been on track
No.
at this time before in, you know, full qualifying trim. So this time yesterday it was free practice, and first free practice at that as well. So
maybe that was Honda's game. But
well, like I said, Gabrielli, you know, I do stand to be corrected, but certainly my impression has always been that he does it every session. And Tiago doesn't. Loeb back in, even though he left late. So has he done a flying lap? No, he hasn't, has he? Interesting, actually. Notice the blower on the front. If the camera comes back, the blower on the front is now not just a blower on the front, it's got a stick with a flag on, so the driver can see if it's been removed or not. After leaving the pit lane, Ivan Muller left the pit lane with a blower attached, or Sebastian Loeb did, I don't remember who, or maybe Benani, one of them anyway, with the I think it was Muller, with the blower attached in Villarreal, which then obviously the first time he dabbed the brake, shot off up the road in front of him, and caused the session to be stopped for debris. So it's now got a little wavy flag so the driver can see that it is not removed from the car. Gregoire de Moustier brings the Bamboo Chevrolet back down into pit road.
There's the flag.
Yep, different colours as well, because Loeb's has got a red flag on. Mars has got a yellow flag. See the colour of his mirrors? See, it's all attention to detail, isn't it? I just love all of that stuff.
So this must now be new tyre runs.
Yeah, Thiago leaving the pit lane now, and he's got Hugo Vallant in front. That could be a good tow as well. Hugo just checking the mirror as he comes out. Nobody faffing with practice starts, but having a little twiddle. What's the white dial on the right?
Couldn't possibly say.
I bet you could. But does it do the same job now, though, that it used to do on the older car?
Might not, no.
No, might not do. You could say. What are we going to do, the audience, if we find out what it does? Go out and build a better touring car?
There's different map settings, so the white and the orange do engine map settings and throttle pedal settings. Okay. So it gives you the feel of a more responsive car through the pedal setting itself.
Oh, okay.
And different variations, combinations linking up give you different output for maybe a start configuration or something like that.
Very good. Good to see a lot of the old RML boys are still here. The boys that we used to see in the Chevy shows, you know, your Duncan Laycocks and people. That is Duncan yesterday meandering around as he always does with his laptop and his little smiley expression. Lots of the boys still involved, and they would love, you know, all the guys at RML would really love somebody to come along with a really good budget, or several somebodies, so they can develop this car, because there's still life in it, and I think they believe they've got a Citroen Matcher, if not an outright Citroen Beta still.
Every car they've built, they've always gone out and been able to win a championship with it, so I wouldn't doubt that this car's capable of it. It's just having the backing to go and do it.
Yeah. And of course, you know, when it was the factory Chevrolet team, they had the budget to go out and hire the best drivers they could find as well, and that's all part of the package. You know, with no disrespect to Hugo Vallant, he is still a young driver, he's still relatively inexperienced. When you compare him to somebody like Rob Huff, never mind Alain Menu, Nicola Larini, Ivan Muller, you know, the other guys that were in Chevy shirts, they were really hugely, vastly experienced. You know, they were winning touring car races and championship when Hugo was literally still in nappies. So is that wiggling the end plate? Didn't seem to be actually adjusting the wing much.
No.
It's just changing where the end plate is. It's an interesting concept. Vallant rocking over those curbs, and Rob Huff's on board lap. You don't really see it as such a big curb strike, but he was definitely saying you really hit them quite hard.
It does put a bit of a bounce through the car, and maybe it shows how much stiffer they are nowadays.
Down this little short run from turn 10 to 11. Look at the road here. If we stay on board, you get this little turn at 11 and then this long right-hander through 12, tightening, and then constant radius turn 13 onto the straight. It could have been designed to make passing impossible. Vallant 6/10 up on the fastest lap, which has been set by Nicky Katzberg, who's in the number 10 Lada there. So it's another good fun lap from Vallant. And Thiago Montero's not that close to him, is he? 25 thousandths behind to 1800ths behind. Let's see if he closes up in sector 3 with that tow.
We know Hugo's good at qualifying. He's He's really set out every time in qualifying.
Oops.
Track limits.
Yeah, he might end up losing that lap. Well, started the lap in sector 1 6/10 up on the fastest and stays 6/10 up on the fastest. Thiago Montero lost ground on that, only 6 quickest, so it's Vallant now ahead of Katzberg, Chilton, Lapierre, Coronel and Montero. Number 2 is Tarquini. There's Norbert Mikulich. It's going to make my head hurt if you keep doing that. Huffy on a quick one, yes, absolutely. From a 10th up to a 2nd up out of sector 2. Timing sector 2 ends as you get off turn 13 onto the straight. So here we are at the end of sector 3, which has got a hairpin and a left-hander in it, and the rest is all pedal to the metal stuff. And Huff goes fastest. So starting to now see some really decent first forays on fresh tyres. It's a quick one from Tarquini as well.
So Rob was 9/10 up at the start of sector 3, which is a long straight, a hairpin and a 90-degree left, and lost most of that.
Yeah. So did he outbrake himself comprehensively at the hairpin? Traction's the issue really with the larder. Its biggest issue at the moment. I'm not quite sure how the aerodynamics work compared to some of the others, especially on a long straight like this. I mean, we're going to go back to the Salzburg ring, don't we, and put it there and see whether it sinks or swims. And that would be your ultimate test of lift drag coefficient, I would think, in the championship. But traction really is an issue, and that hairpin, that's all you need. You need good braking adhesion, but you need good traction to get off it, otherwise you're just spinning the wheels up. And we did hear Rob again yesterday saying several times how much traction is an issue at this track. And that's definitely going to be, you know, on their jobs list for the winter. The first 3 jobs are going to be traction, traction and traction. So who have we missed? We didn't see Loeb going fastest, Huff 2nd, Katzberg 3rd. Muller's on 1. Chilton's faster. Oh no, slower, plus 0.5 as opposed to plus 0.2. Nico Lapierre sitting on his time. Can't afford to do that for long. Only the fast 12 will go through. Both of the Stefano Dastes, the one that's in 14th and the one that's in 15th, have the potential to go into the top 12. Lopez certainly does, Mars certainly does, Muller certainly does. Muller will be in the top 12 now. 3rd, Bing, there you go, he can park on that. Chilton's in 7th. Probably, yes, okay. I'll give you that. Norby, oh, I forgot Norby, he's 14th. Well, he's going to be in, isn't he? Mar, 6/10 away at the end of sector 2. That should be enough to put him in the top 7 or 8 at the end of the lap. So you even hear the Citroen struggling a little bit there. I thought he was going to grab another gear. It sat there revving away for so long. So where does Mar end up? 7th, there you go. And the Daste twins are down to 16th and 17th. Lopez yet to get that lap in. Here he comes.
Larder seem very strong at the moment.
But again, this is doing just enough territory, isn't it? You ideally would really like not to use a fresh set of tyres if you could get away with it. Lopez is going to the top of the pile and he's going to park it then. 4 minutes 45 seconds remaining. Lopez, Loeb, Huff and Muller. Katzberg, Bernani. So 5 Citroens in the top 7 and the other 2 are Larders. It's quite entertaining. Lapierre's back out. Yeah, thought he was going to have to, didn't we? And there he is in front of Lopez. Right, Nico, pick up the throttle and follow Pachito.
Yeah, Thiago's definitely got to go again.
Yeah. Well, Thiago cannot risk getting dumped out in Q1 like Gabriele did last weekend, 2 weeks ago. Dasta's going to have to go again. Tarquini's going back out again, and yeah. Where's Gabriele on the pile? 12th. Norby's 13th, so they should be in there. They have to be in there, don't they? Montero has to be in there as well, even if they're only playing for race 2 grids.
Yeah, you have to throw everything at it.
Yeah, you can't be spending the weekend in 13th, 15th, 16th. And that to me is the thing that needs changing most in the format of the weekend, is this double jeopardy. You're not allowed to get penalised twice by the stewards, but if you have any kind of an issue in qualifying, you're stuffed for 2 races. It seems to me that's profoundly unfair. Right, if your car breaks down, or you make a mistake, or you just, you know, the team don't get you out in time to get a lap again on fresh tyres, and yada yada yada. Okay, you pay for it in one car, in one race. I mean, the obvious answer, how do you sort that out? Qualifying on a Sunday morning, as well as qualifying on a Saturday. Qualifying on Saturday for race 1, qualifying on Sunday morning for race 2. You know, I like the way it works with World Series by Renault. Formula Renault 3.5, qualify and race on Saturday, qualify and race on Sunday. I think that could work very nicely with World Touring cars. I do quite like also, though, the short turnaround, repair time and stuff, that little bit of frisson of excitement you quite often get between the races. Nobody to say we couldn't have 3 races in a weekend. Yeah. Qualifying on Saturday in a slightly longer race for 1.5 points, and then 2 sprintier races on Sunday, or just 3 races, 1 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
It's certainly enough time for the drivers and the cars to be able to do it anyway. They're capable.
The other thing is you have qualifying and race on Saturday, then cars are in Parc Fermé. If you want to fix it, if the car is really, really wrecked, take it out of Parc Fermé, start at the back. But it does mean that you're likely to have all your cars on the grid for Sunday and ready to go for qualifying on Sunday. You know, and for losing a little bit of potential excitement in repair time compared to having all the cars on the grid for race 2 on Sunday, and having, you know, the excitement of a second qualifying shootout on Sunday, maybe an hour beforehand or something, I'd do that trade. I'm quite impressed with myself. I quite like that idea. Which immediately obviously means it won't happen. Lapierre from 48 thousandths away from Lopez's time, incidentally, in the first sector, to just under 3 tenths away. Where does he come across the line? Yeah, not too shabby. Still, he's driven it 1 weekend already.
Maybe these riders like the cooler weather.
Quick learner, isn't he?
Not so bad.
Huff 3rd, Lapierre 5th, Katzberg 6th. I tell you what, if they can go through Q2 like that, we'll have 2 larders in Q3.
It does look like everybody's gone back out on another set.
Yes, rather disappointingly for the larder boys.
They're also included in there. I think I saw Huffy there too. So.
Well, Lapierre was the first to nail his colours to the mast earlier on, wasn't he? I was just wondering whether this was a quick lap from Thiago. It wasn't, but he's starting one now. Starting his downhill run up from the hairpin.
Pushing it on the time, wasn't he?
Well, they like to play fast and loose, don't they? I think everybody's sort of in that. They've now got the mindset where last car across the line is going to be the quickest.
Tarquini's missed it.
Yeah.
Unless that's completing his lap, is it?
I think that is going to have to be completing his lap. Well, it is anyway. 9th. Okay, so who's not in? Demoustier, Montero should be, Michaelis should be, Philippe D'Aste probably on the balance wouldn't be. So where's Tarquini? 9th. Ma might be in trouble. Coronel and Chilton are definitely in trouble. Ooh, look at that. Huff and Katzberg, fastest and second fastest. Katzberg's first sector, if Huff's 1600ths faster than Lopez, who's the quickest time, then Katzberg is tied with Lopez and 7 tenths quicker than Norby. All right, they've lost a bit of ground, so this is a second lap. This is swapped tyres, isn't it?
Right, so this is entering sector 3, so they've got the long straight and 2 corners after this, so hopefully we'll stay on board. And
so they'll have done swapping tyres, or they've just stayed out on the same set. John Philippi in 8th place. He could well be on target for Q2. Is that going to be his first Q2 of the season? Things that you need to know that you haven't got a piece of paper that tells you that. Kasberg went from 0.6 to 0.5 behind. Norby went from 0.8 out to a full second back and is 15th. 15th. And Huff binned it because he was third anyway and didn't want to go top of the pile. Vallant 9th, Coronel 11th is in. Daste, no, nothing. Where's Thiago? Thiago could be the fly in the ointment for Ma at home. The man fastest in every session so far is in danger of being pinged out because he's in the pit lane. Where's Thiago's lap? Are we not seeing it because we're not seeing it? Has he finished it? The timing on the screen didn't say that he'd finished it, said that he was still on a lap. Right, so Lopez Loeb, Huff Muller, there's Thiago. Well, he's in the pit, so he obviously wasn't on a lap.
Finished.
So Mars in 12th and Thiago's out. And Coronel is in, but Chilton's out. So Tom missed the boat, Thiago missed the boat, Norby missed the boat. Now all three of them should be Q3, not making Q2. It has jiggled and pokered the field around, hasn't it? Larders obviously aren't quite so keen on a hot, slippery track as they are on a cooler, less slippery track. What's gone on at Zenga, though? That's their first qualifying mistake.
Tom Chilton was only just here on time to get into the car, only a couple of minutes before the start of the session, and sadly missing out. Tom, P13, not an ideal start to the morning, really.
Well, that and my alarm not going off. Got a phone call from the hotel waking me up at 8:10, knowing it's a 25-minute drive here and qualifying's 8:40. I've never had my alarm not go off in my life. It wasn't a problem. I hopped straight in the car half asleep and I put it P2 to start with. And I've just said to my engineer now, I got in the car and I said, I can't believe I'm P2 because I said the tyre's not working. I said I'm understeering and oversteering in the correct places, but I feel like the tyre's not working at all. And as the session went on, it showed for some reason I couldn't get them to work, and I started dropping down the list, and I just missed out on Q2, so I'm absolutely gutted.
Why did you not go for a third run?
Because the FI Weybridge scales pulled me in, otherwise I would have got a third run. So that's like a triple bad whammy for me in the morning. So it's tough luck.
That is tough luck. That's when you know that life's got it in for you this morning, don't you? The alarm doesn't go off, you have to run to the track, you haven't had breakfast or a shower or brushed your teeth.
After such a good weekend in Motegi, Thiago, this is not where I expected to see you.
Well, no, it's not. But to be honest, we knew it was going to be difficult. I mean, of course, we're not happy with the final result. But even before we arrived, we knew it was going to be a difficult qualifying. And then after the practices, we realized that all the cars with less weight were very competitive, more than usual. So we knew that even some cars that usually are not a threat could be a threat here. So it was going to be tough. But yeah, I'm disappointed because there was more time to come. There was 2 cars coming out of the pits when I came into the first corner. I mean, they saw me way too late, so they broke in the corner. So I had to go all the way around. This is your last attempt. So yeah, there's a few tenths there. I don't know if it was going to be enough to be in the Q2 because it was tough. But very difficult car to drive today. But yeah, that doesn't help.
I hope the weekend is better for you, Thiago.
Well, like Tom Chilton, you've got to hope that it now starts to pick up a little bit, and Norby will be hoping the same. A little bit of a wry smile, but you know, I mean, that is one of the joys and the disappointments of motor racing, is you're not always on the top, even if you've got the best car. I mean, you look at the Mercedes in Formula One, you know, 2 weeks ago in Singapore, just completely off the boil, even though they've comfortably got the best car of the season. So it doesn't always work in the right places at the right times.
No, it doesn't, and we've seen them all race, Tom and Thiago and Norby. We know they're good at racing, so I'm sure they'll have a fun time there. It's just made their weekend a bit harder, and after Tom's struggle this morning,
they've got to look at Rob Huff, race 2 in Japan, 13th to 3rd, and just mentally roll the sleeves up and go, right, I'm having some of that. So 3 expected Q2ers. Well, I know what Tom Chilton's going to do. He's going to head off to find something to eat and a toothbrush for a start. Now then, you see the Royal team there with Tom Coronel's car, just about ready to release him, and then suddenly somebody says something and then scampering off into the garage. Oh yeah, we haven't done that. And that's where it still surprises me that you get things like that going. Okay, so he wants a wing adjustment, and he wants more wing. Tom loves a lot of wing on this car. He always runs a lot of wing. Nico Lapierre not going out yet.
In theory, I think they'll only have one set left, won't they? So they'll be waiting for everybody else to jump first. Yeah,
let everybody do a lap and then go out and try and get 10th place. Front row start for row 2, I would think, would be an excellent result for Nico Lapierre, and only his 2nd ever weekend in a touring car of any kind. The only other cars he's driven with roofs on have been Le Mans prototypes, and I'm not quite sure that translates in the same manner. See, Lopez is looking very aggressive with the car, but he somehow manages to pick it up by the scruff of the neck and throw it at curbs and corners without it sliding around and wasting time.
Yeah, it's the wasting time bit he seems to always manage not to lose.
He can be aggressive and look really on it without the car sliding. And that's something that you don't see so much, especially from Muller and Loeb. When they really are pushing hard, the car steps out a lot more. So he's not even riding the curb there. He didn't even touch the white line.
Had a short shift mid-corner, and I'm not sure the others do that.
And look at Mar behind him and Bernardi behind him, riding right up the curb. He wasn't even on the white line. And behind Loeb, the same thing. Watching a great bit of onboard footage the other day, having a conversation about Senna's driving style, and somebody saying, you know, watching him trackside, sure you could hear him blipping the throttle, and there's a great bit of footage when he was ragging the original NSX around Suzuka. Honda brought him out to sort of debut the car, and the onboard footage, you can clearly see him constantly blipping the throttle all the way through the corner. And first turn at Suzuka, he's off the brakes, dab, 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 blipping the throttle the whole time, which was his sort of really nervy style he had, that he somehow developed in karting and then really translated well with the turbo engines, because there was always keeping the boost up.
Pressure up.
Oh dear, listen to the wheel spin from Nick Katzberg. Decent lap from him though, 2600s back, 4 tenths behind. This could put him 5th or 6th. Ahead of Huff or behind him? Head of Huff. Head of Muller. See, that's always nice as well when you get those little things. Look, the Chevy Armada is about to head out. John Philippi, Tom Coronel.
So Miles found his legs again. It was a bit risky in
I tell you what, he was lucky to scrape through. Really lucky. Not sure if I was Tom Coronel, I'd be wanting necessarily to follow John Philippi out onto the track. I'd be thinking I'd be wanting to get by him because of the two. I know which one is less likely to make a mistake on a qualifying lap and hold the other one up. if I was Tom Coronel, I would want to get by John Philippi on my outlap. Having said that, obviously, now watch Tom make a real Horlicks of his qualifying lap and ruin one for Philippi as well if he's behind him, but hopefully not. Lopez, Mar, Loeb, top 3 cars are Citroens at the moment. Then Katzberg, Muller and Huff. Lada, Citroen, Lada. Tarquini in the Honda and Benani in his Citroen. They've all set a lap time. I think that might be a lot as well, unless they are... Well, Lopez and Mar are parked or coming in. So you've got a minute and 45 in the pits to do something. What are they in for, James? Muller's in as well, Loeb's in as well, and they've got a minute and 35 to do something.
So Huff's got another set of tyres?
Yeah.
Or is it just...
They're going for fresh tyres all round. They're all going for fresh tyres all round.
So the ones that had just left the pits before, so that was Coronel, they only had one set.
Yeah,
so
they're
Huff
only
saved
going
a
on
set.
one run. Huffy, and those guys are playing for the race 2 grid. Huffy is playing to get in amongst the Citroens and put the Lada in the top 5.
They don't look brand new though on the Huff's car.
They might not be. They might have done one lap or something at the end of FP2 yesterday. Mars first out. That could be key, actually. That could be a real key advantage if he's not behind somebody. That's really quick from the Sebastian Loeb Racing boys to turn him around and send him out first, because Lopez was parked before Mar was. Lopez is still in the pit lane. Don't stand looking at each other. It's a 1 minute 30 lap. You've only got 2 minutes on the clock. It's a 1 minute 30 flying lap. That doesn't include leaving the pit lane. Oh, it's all going to happen again for Gabrielli.
He's getting out, is he?
Yep.
No problem.
I wonder if there was a question over tyres and which ones he had on the car. Seemed to me there was a little bit of a query about the Yokohamas. I don't know, maybe that's entirely not the case. Oh dear, wheels coming off wagons.
So these guys are going to struggle now.
Well, yeah, Benani's not going to start a flying lap, is he? Even if he rags it now, what's a quick lap? 1 minute 45. This is pointless even sending him out. Why did anybody let him leave the pit lane? Dear, oh dear.
Felipe quicker than Coronel.
Yep. Now, this isn't their flying lap, is it? This is their out lap, isn't it?
No, this must be their flying lap.
No. Do you think? Okay. Well, Philippi 7th, Coronel 9th, Benani 10th. There's Valence. I was just about to say where are Lapierre and Valence. They haven't even set a time yet. Hugo's on a flyer. 8 tenths back. Well, that's, again, looking at a race 2 front row start, perhaps, potentially. Lapierre 12 seconds back. Looking at being 12th on the grid, I'm afraid, from that lap.
He might squeeze in one more lap after this.
Ooh, did he hit the tyres?
Close.
No, I don't think he did he? Doesn't look like a red mark on the nose of the car. 2, 1. Ooh, yes, he gets another lap, I think. Blimey. And that wasn't even a second at the line. That must have been fractions of a second he got across the line by. Now, whether there's anything left in the tyres remains to be seen, and he's made a bit of a Horlicks of that one. Ditch hooking.
Horlicks.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know. Lopez, Mar, Loeb, Katzberg, Muller, the fast 5 at the moment, would go through. Huffy all over the curbs, car really squirming. Lapierre and Benani are out of the reverse grid, unless there are penalties. And Vallant needs to slow down, actually, doesn't he? Because he's in 10th. All that's going to happen is that he will move himself further back down the race 2 grid from pole. Ugo, slow down now. Look at him, he's absolutely flying. Why are they doing that? Do you know, sometimes I sit here and I think, that's stupid, why are they doing that? No, it can't be. They are professional race, they're running a race team, and I'm just looking at the telly pictures. That I can't be right, they must be right. But why is Vallant going so quickly? All that could happen is that he'll go quicker than Coronel, and Coronel will be on pole and Vallant will start second. Or he'll go quicker than Coronel and Tarquini and he'll start third. Or he'll beat Philippi and he'll start fourth. All he's doing is, unless he genuinely thinks he's going to get into the top 5, which Huff hasn't, well, let's wait and see. Does Vallant get top 5, or does he just kibosh both races by starting in the middle? 6th is worse than useless to him. No, he's come into the pit lane. So finally, Philippe de Corsac said, OK, Ugo, come back now, please. You're on pole for race 2. But once Bernani and Lapierre had taken the checkered flag, it was always going to be the case. So he's in the weighbridge anyway, so...
Good.
So Tom giving the little OK thumbs up sign there to John Philippi. So I think they probably did work together a little bit.
I suppose once Tom Chilton
wasn't there to be worked with, yeah, absolutely. Find a friend in a similar car. So first Q2 of the season for John Philippi. And the fast 5, Muller will be the first to go out. And Lopez, and I may have said this already this season, will be the last to go out, defending the fastest time so far. And that's why he's the championship leader, because he keeps doing this stuff. John Philippi, 7th fastest. That's a really good run from him. And Ugo, 10th position. Couldn't have worked better for them.
No, should be pleased with that.
Yeah. Now all he's got to do is get his head around making a start. At least he won't have to sleep on it.
Yes, true. Yeah.
You know, there's something different, and maybe that little bit of difference, just that, not, you know, thinking about it overnight or worrying about it at breakfast or going, I hope I make a good start this time. You know, he's only got 3 hours before we're off. So, yeah. You know, things change. Sometimes it's good.
Hugo just discussing his yet another pole position for the Chevrolet. Is that what you were aiming for, or were you looking for a bit further up? Because you had the pace.
Yeah, I was looking for further up, but there was 2 Citroens in the way in my sector 1. And even flashing the lights, they didn't move out the way. I think Lapierre had the same problem. He had to cut the chicane because they didn't move. So I'm happy with P10, but I think Lapierre is on the track now, so I'm not sure if this session is over yet. But yeah, no, happy for now. We'll see if I get to P11. I'll be really disappointed and really annoyed with the Citroen, because we have a gentleman agreement that when we have the lights on, they should get off the way, and that wasn't the case, so we'll see.
I think you're safe, and yet another pole position start. What can you do over the next few hours to make sure that pole position translates to a position like last race?
Well, we have to make a good start, but for sure here it's a track where you can actually overtake, and like maybe, well, Motegi you could overtake, but here is more, there's definitely more point with the slipstream, the big straight. So we'll see. Definitely make a good start. The pace was good today, as I said. I think we could have aimed for P6 or P7. So yeah, no, I'm confident for the race. We'll see how it goes. Make a good start, and we'll go from there.
Yes, you go.
Thanks.
Well, hopefully make up some places first in race 1, as he says. Good opportunity to overtake. Well, one of the Royal cars and both Campos cars got through, so good qualifying from John Philippi and Ugo Vallant. And John Philippi, in fact, does suggested there was pace in the car that that Vallon could have exploited.
Well, he won here last year, and he was obviously vying for 10th, which would of course given him pole for race 2, and such an unfortunate situation there, Mehdi.
Yes, it's not the best situation we have seen in qualifying, but we have tried to make a strategy with the team. When it's working, I think everybody are happy. But when it's not working, it's not a good situation to live. But so we are human, so we learn a lot from our errors, and I hope that this mistake will help us lost for the future, and that's it. We try something, and when you try, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, and this time we lose.
Got to give it a go. Thanks, Mehdi.
So they were trying a little bit of slipstreaming as well, and maybe that's the reason that Citroëns wouldn't let the Chevrolet in, because they were busy doing their own little plan and didn't want somebody in the way that would ruin it, because time is very tight. Well, this is where you've got as much time as you like on your warm-up lap. Get yourself up to speed for the single qualifying lap, and James Nash, for a racing driver, this is what it's all about really, just trying to wring every tiny ounce of performance out of yourself and the car.
This is the best part of it, actually. The new tyres, everything at their maximum, but on a one-off lap like this, you can so easily mess up the first corner. Either way, you can underdrive it or overdrive it, and it's so frustrating to see that on your dashboard just through one corner.
How much time do you spend, or how are you aware of the time on your dash when you're, trying to place the car to within a fraction of an inch?
Some drivers are very different. I like to see the split time on my dash, so I know whether I'm up or down. It gives me a good reference, but visually you're quite aware of everything around you, and you can see in your peripheral all these dials and temperatures, and a big minus is one that always stands out well.
Yeah.
So I didn't take note of first and second sectors of Q2.
No, and handily the timing screen wipes everything, and you can't print it out either, so we'll do this with Muller and compare his sector with everybody else's. How much time? They're making an adjustment on the front of Sebastian Loeb's car.
Looks like a front splitter adjustment, maybe just lowering it down slightly.
And that's classic rally mechanic. We know we've got a job to do, we're going to do it quickly. How many seconds have we got left? Because actually, was he due to be second out or third out? Third out, so Katzberg's already on track.
It's not going to be quick enough, is it, that time, I don't think, from the
151 away. No, I don't think that's going to put him on pole. It's a good lap. There you are. They are all but done. All but. Don't drop it on his head. Taking out the high jacks. Trying to take out the low jacks as well. I know. James is sitting here shaking his head, but that's how, that's how they be doing it in muddy puddles in freezing cold,
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do. And Citroën, most of all, with that huge rally experience of doing everything against the clock. And that's not something that's common in motor racing, but it is obviously very, very common in rallying. It's absolutely standard practice.
So sector 1, what are we looking for as a
41.12 or 41.12.8. 0.128.
It's a very different line to Avant.
Mm-hmm. Good news here is that A, we've got the Lada in the top 5, and B, he hasn't got any Citroëns in the way this time. It's a lot bouncier and choppier, isn't it, than the Citroën, but then it's a shorter wheelbase car, so you do expect that. So 84 thousandths behind Ivan Muller in the first sector. Sector 2, we only got a total time for Ivan, 1:11.298. That's sector 1 and 2. This is a long old straight, isn't it?
It's very long when you walk it.
Huffy and with the dark hair Nico Lapierre, and in between them the tall figure of Nicky's engineer, Marco Calovolo, who came to the programme with James Thompson. It's a good looking lap from Katzberg, 2200s back. Even if he is beaten by 4 Citroens, it's certainly no disgrace. He's going to be... Oh, my goodness! I was going to say he's going to be second. He's not!
Third sector was pretty good.
My. The third sector was a gem. Timing screen's not giving me the actual split times, I'm afraid.
Ah, very impressive.
Yeah.
So what was his final
work.
lap time overall?
No, it won't tell me that either.
No, nor mine.
No. Okay. Well, he's fastest anyway. Time for Sebastian Loeb to have a bit of a tilt.
A 1:49.6 was Katzberg's time.
And that final sector, 38.093 is the final sector. As you say, 1:49.619. So copying it off one screen, because my screen has just refreshed. So I'm copying it off James's onto a piece of paper. Copying the electronic timing down onto a piece of paper, because that's the only way we've got of comparing their sector times. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is progress. What's Loeb got under the right foot that he can produce here? 41.212 for Katzberg. 41.128 is the bogey time, though. That's the sector time from Ivan Muller. 41.215, 3,000 slower than Katzberg, so only third at the moment for Loeb.
Seems Ivan maybe made a mistake in the last sector. We'll see what Loeb comes out with. But
second sector, 30.314 seconds for Katzberg. Ooh, 85 thousandths quicker. And this is where he should pick up on the larder. He should increase the advantage, maybe 10th, 1200s in front.
Katzberg was slower in sector 2, though, wasn't he? And made up all his time in this last sector. So
the lap time, a 1:48.619. And he's not looking at Muller's time, he's looking at trying to beat the larder and maybe get close then to Mar and Lopez. No, 46 thousandths back. Well, he's still in front of Muller.
So that was a really good sector from Katzberg.
Wasn't it, though?
It's not slow down the straights.
So Muller was fastest in sector 1, Loeb fastest in sector 2, Katzberg fastest in sector 3, the power sector. Well, we know there's nothing even remotely wrong with the Orica engine, but it also tells us that the lift drag on the larder actually works pretty decently as well. It's a quick little bunny in a straight line. So Ma Qinghua starts his lap here at home in China. Fastest in every sector up until the beginning of qualifying. Is this where he then goes out and puts Lopez back in his box, at least for the time being? Out of turn 3, really awkward, isn't it, that turn 3? Straight off that long turn 2, you've got to go completely opposite direction.
Slightly off camber as well, and you're trying to apply a lot of power through those front wheels.
And a lot of lock as well. See how crossed his arms were. Asking the car to do too many things at the same time. Brake, steer, weight transfer. Fast sector time here is still Muller's, 41.128. But it's Katzberg's total time at the end of sector 2 that we're looking at.
Here it comes.
21 hundredths up, so 2 tenths up on Katzberg. But Nicky Katzberg's final sector, a 38.09, was a lot quicker than the other two. There's Nicky on the left, Ivan Muller on the right. So will Mar go top of the pile? Shows all the indications of doing so, yes, but look at that. Went from 2 tenths up to half a tenth up on Nicky Katzberg. So Katzberg third sector, still fastest. Mar goes quicker though. And he had the fastest second sector. 30.059. So all to do then for Jose Maria Lopez. Well, whatever else happens, Nicky Katzberg will have his first race 1 front row start for Lada. This is his first Q3, I'm pretty sure, for Lada as well. You watch what's going on. I'll see if he's had any qualifying. Oh no, Slovakia ring. He was 5th in qualifying in Slovakia, so it's his second appearance in Q2. That was his first. Am I reading the right line? No, Russia was his first weekend in Lada. It was his second weekend in Lada. He got into the top 5 and was 5th on the grid. Gone considerably better than that already. At the moment he's in a front row position, but could end up being in 3rd spot. Wow, 76 thousandths of a second quicker than Mar. Now the Citroens have all been quicker than Lada in sector 2.
Short shift in there.
Yeah, really does, doesn't he? Pulls that gear immediately to kill the wheel spin.
Which means he doesn't use all the road.
Yeah. Wow. So 6 thousandths of a second slower than Mar in sector 2, but still 700ths faster overall. Is this going to be another pole? I think Lopez is definitely heading in the right direction.
His throttle pickup in turn 14 was a bit slow, but
he crosses the line, 11 hundredths up, and Jose Maria Lopez has now 12 career poles in World Touring Cars. He now vaults ahead of Rob Huff and Augusto Farfus. Only Alemenu with 15, Gabriele Tarquini with 17, and Ivan Muller with 28 are in front of him. He's now 4th in the all-time rankings. This is his 2nd season. The championship started in 2005. So that's quite impressive, really, so far. So he had pole in Argentina, he had pole in Marrakesh, he had pole in the Nürburgring, he had pole in Villarreal, and he now has pole in Shanghai, which I make his 5th pole of the season in race weekend number 10. So he's not yet failed to make Q2, and his worst performance in Q3 rather, has been a third place. His worst grid start in a race 1 race has been third on the grid.
Not
He's
bad.
had 2 thirds, 2 seconds and 5 poles.
It's absolutely fantastic to see Alada up here breaking up those Citroens. Nikki, that was a ridiculous drive. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I must say I'm very surprised as well. Already when going into Q3 I was super happy, and in Q3 I thought, okay, let's push that last bit, because I thought I was going to be P5 anyway. So I pushed that extra bit, and then P3, so super happy with that.
How did you find that extra time in Sector 3? Because that's where you clawed it back.
Yeah, I think you always leave a margin for the last hairpin, and this time I was like, okay, let's push until the limit, and it worked.
Brilliant drive. Best of luck for the race.
Thank you.
So he always has a big smile. I think it's just got quite a lot bigger as well. Really enjoying that. And great performance from Nicky Katzberg. He'll line up in 3rd place and then 8th on the race 2 grid.
Seems he was leaving a bit more of a margin in the hairpin than the other guys were.
Maybe he was.
Certainly found it.
Yeah, really pleased to be in the top 5, and went out and had a bit of a tilt, and why not? Nothing at all to lose and everything to gain. The worst that could possibly happen is he'd bin the lap and he'd be 5th. So, yeah, everything could go his way. Marching-Hua will start on the front row of the grid, but potentially the problem for him is that so too will Jose Maria Lopez. Nicky Katzberg 3rd, Sebastian Loeb 4th, and Ivan Muller 5th. Well, he was quickest in every session except the very final one, the qualifying session.
It looked like he was going to have it here on home soil. Frustrating situation for you, I imagine. P2 is obviously still fantastic, but how do you feel?
Well, it's okay. It's not bad, but absolutely not what I want. I'm really looking for the pole position, because we are really close, and only 1/10, and I have a very good setup this morning, but still difficult because the condition changed from yesterday, so my engineer is working really hard to get the best balance. Yeah, and the lap was not bad, and I did only a little mistake in turn 4, but I think I can gain a bit more time.
This does seem to be a fantastic track for you. Obviously, you've been here a lot, but it also does seem to suit both you and the car.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as we have some data for me to learn, I think I'm quite comfortable, because in the preview racing this season, there's a lot of track I don't know, and especially for Citroen, we don't have the data to compare. So it's difficult for me to learn everything, but here we have the data from last year, so we have a good baseline, and my pace was really good, and also I think it's just a qualifying, not to the end of the day, and we have still 2 races to go in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ma.
Thank you.
So nice work from our Chinese hero, and our Argentine hero takes pole again, his 5th pole of the season.
They don't know if they're under qualified or race.
Another pole position for our champion in waiting, Pachito Lopez. Another, just a 10th between you and Marquin-Ha. A very difficult way to qualify with just tiny gaps in every sector.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's enough, you know. Even it's important is VP1, get the point. You know, it's good. The championship is closer, and I'm sorry for Mai, you know, but everybody is pushing, you know, and trying to do her best. Track condition was changing, so it was difficult. I think I felt more confident in Q2 than what I felt maybe in Q3. That I think I did the pole in the last corner, because I was losing. So I pushed a lot in the last corner, and I think I did the best on the weekend. So I thought I was not going to get in pole, but because my lap was not clean. was hard in the car, you know, the pressure I had it there. I didn't know the lap time of Ma, but I knew it the lap time of Kasper, you know. So congratulations to him, a great qualifying. Congratulations to all the Citroën drivers, and we see you, you know, in a few hours.
And congratulations to you. Well done, Pachito.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
He now moves 4 points further ahead of Ivan Muller. 78 is the margin, and there are 160 points left to be won in the season in total. So 3 race weekends, 6 races, 25 points apiece, and we will start this afternoon here in Shanghai with the first 2 of those. So race 1, race 2. We get back to our regular format with a short turnaround between the 2 of them. They are effectively